What's up guys, welcome to a new Kengan hot takes video. As always, every comment came from the community post I put up a few days ago. There were quite a few comments, so of course I can't cover every single one, only the ones with the most likes or ones around the top that I thought were interesting. Hope you enjoy. If you haven't already, make sure to leave a like in the video if you enjoy this series of hot takes. Subscribe. Now let's begin. Rihito is physically stronger than most Kengan characters. If he trains his ass off and continues to learn from Kuroki, he can be a top tier fighter in the future. Devil Lance with his insane grip strength can be a lethal combo. So I somewhat agree with that. It's more so his insane grip strength is a god-given gift unique to him. It's not specifically his physical power. Meaning if he gets given more training, he will indeed surpass the Devil Lance, or if he does learn the Devil Lance, his version should end up being better sometime in the future. One issue I do have is he's a fairly older character in the series, like he's around the same age as Oma, and the difference between skill between someone like Oma and Rihito is pretty huge, with a lot of the younger characters having a lot more potential than the likes of Rihito, so there is a chance he could be left behind quite early. Also considering that he's pretty much the weakest fighter on Team Kengan for the current tournament, making it a little bit of a letdown even though he had 1 year of training. But again, he has a lot of potential. The Kuroki training will indeed help. I just think he needs more than just his Razor's Edge or his God-given grip strength. Yes, it has the potential to one-shot people, but the series isn't written in a way where he uses it to one-shot people by targeting the throat in a Kengan match, as shown in his Falcon fight where he was able to cut down his chest or whatever, but it wasn't deep enough. If he was smarter in the way he used it, or if he had more to back up with that ability, he could be very dangerous some point in the future. Until someone beats him on screen, Kuroki is still my number one strongest. I guess fair enough, but I do see like around 10 characters being on that level very shortly. Again, you could say no one's beaten Kuroki, so of course he's going to be number one, but the way Omega's being written so far is portraying a lot of characters to be around the same level, but I do agree that Kuroki is still given a spot on like a pedestal that people are aiming for, as enforced more so in this Rolon vs Oma fight. Waka probably would have beaten Agito if they met in the Annihilation Tournament finals. I disagree with this one. The only round I believe Waka could have done it is if he faced Kano in round 1 or 2, with Waka catching Kano off guard with his Blast Claw. As we know, the Blast Claw was created to actually defeat Kano Agito. After that, he unlocks pre-initiative, which will definitely be too much for the likes of Waka, considering Kano's insane speed as well. He'll just overwhelm him, so definitely not. Kano would pretty much roll him if he faced him in the Annihilation Tournament finals. Let's say he defeated Oma in the semi-final and Kano defeated Kuroki. If the final was Waka vs Kano, Kano most likely would have clapped him. He has the Dragon Shot that does huge damage. He has the pre-initiative and overall speed advantage over Waka. Plus Waka's fighting style can be countered quite easily by Kano's formless adaptability, etc., as Kano already knows every one of Waka's tricks at that point. And even without knowing it, he is just overall a better fighter. Julius vs Tolla is a great fight, 5% commentary, 5% backstory and 80% action. I agree, I do wish more fights are like this. A lot of the later fights are more focused on a lot more commentary compared to this fight. Mainly due to, Julius, he doesn't need commentary because, all muscle, all greatness, this goes ham. With other characters requiring a lot more explanation of their abilities or techniques, etc. Kuroki should be the one to explain in detail what Oma did to Rolon instead of Koga. Well, the only reason, or the reason I assume Koga was the one to explain that, is because he has the fist eye, meaning alongside Kazi, he was the only other one who could actually realize what was going on in that instance. Kuroki may be able to work it out, but again, Koga is the protagonist of the series Kengan Omega. He has the fist eye, and characters with the fist eye are pretty much portrayed as the ones who explain very high speed stuff that other characters don't actually see. Like we had Okubo and Rihito pointing out that they don't know what happened, they couldn't see it. So of course, go to the one with the supervision to explain it, hence Koga or Kazi, but this time it was Koga. Jaime vs Dorota is one of the best fights in Omega. I somewhat agree. Reading it weekly was a little bit disappointing, but reading it from start to finish does make it a lot better. but as a whole I do gravitate towards enjoying striking based fights in Kengan more than the grappling based ones, but still very solid and pretty underrated. Oma wouldn't have to use Possessing Spirit to beat Faye. That was kind of the implication from Rolon a few chapters ago, so it could be the case, but not too sure about that one. Dongchen is underrated. Potentially, I think he's a little bit overrated if I'm being honest. Yumi, while I meme, is still regarded as Fang for a reason. His skill is still very impressive. Also, we need to see more Retsudo fights. Again, Mitsudo confirmed he chose Yumi as the Fang for his potential, not his skill at the time, so it really isn't the case. Gaolang has to be the most underrated and most underused fighter in Omega. In short, I agree with all this. Gaolang does deserve better in Omega. Hopefully he gets a fight where he actually doesn't get done dirty like every other time. So my main issue for Drota is only one instance during the Jaime fight was he able to blitz everyone with his grappling skill. That was mainly due to people not understanding how he actually did it, but of course we later learned how he was able to do it with his 2-finger grip type thing. And then the other thing is the comparison to Rolon, the 2 kings and everything like that. That's all Drota really has going for him, so it's pretty hard to argue he wins against that many other high tier characters if that's really all he has. Inconsistent throwing speed and a statement that doesn't really mean he defeats everyone. Of course, yes, Rolon did show a lot of respect to Drota, but we just haven't seen enough to justify a lot of things regarding him. Younger Kuroki could have most likely beat Rolon in an all-out deathmatch. Rolon looked more beat up than Kuroki in that flashback. Also, Kogi's a better MC than Roiki and has the most potential in Omega next to Rihito. Well, I don't think Rihito has the most potential. Like, we have characters like Kue Ryan, who's just a genetic god above gods. I do think Kuroki had the advantage in the fight against Rolon. I agree he did look less injured compared to Rolon, but again, they're being portrayed as equals at that point, but Kuroki was older, probably had more experience at that point, so probably would have gone to Kuroki if it wasn't an all-out deathmatch, but still very close in power. Falcon goes to the best nail salon in Kengan. I don't know if this is a hot take, it's more just absolute fact that everyone knows at this point. Kuroki was kicking Rolon's ass before he left based on the damage, potentially, already covered that before. I agree with most of it if we're talking about overall character, not like strength or anything like that. He is on the better side writing wise for the new introduced Purgatory fighters, and I do see him alongside Falcon, Carlos and maybe a few others staying around possibly as like a semi-main cast or reoccurring characters in the series. Carlos is weakest in Purgatory. If you're talking about raw strength, potentially, but we do know he's defeated Dongchen in the past and most likely many others, so he's definitely not the weakest. Gaolang is weakest in Kengan, that's just not correct. Don't tell me Jaime is when he destroyed Drota. No, I don't think Jaime is the weakest on Team Kengan, I still think Rihito is the weakest, but we were given a lot of reasons of why Jaime actually defeated Drota in that fight, not him actually being stronger. Serious Ryan top 3, Oma the character with the most hacked abilities, pretty much agree with both of them. Ryan top 3 if you got Serious, potentially there's like probably 6 characters who are very interchangeable around the top at this point in Kengan, probably even 10 characters shortly, so yeah, a lot of characters fighting for those top spots. So the basis of this one is if Ray didn't run into Kuroki, he would have potentially won the whole tournament. I personally don't think so because he would have ended up running into Kanagito, who also would have had mastered pre-initiative by that point in the tournament, meaning he would be able to counter Ray similar to what Kuroki did. And even if you argue Kano doesn't have the same knowledge of the Raishin style that Kuroki has, Kano's adaptability is on an insane level that he's able to create an anti-Gaolang fighting style mid-fight. So I'm thinking he can create an anti-Raishin style fighting style mid-fight as well. And of course he has his pre-initiative to deal with his speed and everything like that. So yeah, I don't think he would have won the tournament even with his amp. Without, he would have got rolled by quite a few more characters, but still Ray is definitely one of the strongest in all of Kengan. I definitely agree with this one. I wish the correct land copy technique was never introduced. I disagree with this. When Sword Pang actually saw the Gaolang who faced Kanogito, he was absolutely stunned of how strong Gaolang actually had become, pretty much conceding that Gaolang is a whole another level above him and that he wouldn't really stand a chance against Gaolang, so that kind of disproves that. And I'm not sure why you said adaptability regarding why Sword Pang defeats Kanagito. Kanagita is pretty much the king of adaptability. Of course, his adaptability will be way above the likes of Sorpang. I agree with this. A serious fave would have absolutely rolled Waka in a Kengan match, would have been, as you said, a slaughter. Pretty much Toa being one of the strongest in the tournament. I pretty much agree. I do think Lu Tien's stronger as a whole, and I don't even think he needs to use his removal to defeat Toa, but still is definitely one of the stronger fighters on Team Pokeri. Top 4, top 5, something around there, like you said. Current Kengan Mega Oma defeating Kuroki from the Annihilation Tournament? Potentially. It is kind of weird that they're still putting Kuroki on a pedestal with him saying, oh, that boy's improved. Kind of looking down on him a little bit, even though Oma's improvements have been quite huge. So yeah, it's fine to say Oma could have defeated Ashura Kuroki, but Omega Kuroki still question marks around that matchup. And yep, those are all the hot takes I got for today's video. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to join the Discord, follow the Twitter, and as always, shout out to these people who support the channel via the Patreon. But yep, that's it guys. Peace.